following is a feature presentation of the Replay Sports Channel, the home for great games.
This episode of the Replay Sports Channel is brought to you by Royal Retros, your ultimate one-stop shop representing the teams of the past. Royal Retros has something for you. Every product tells a unique story. You can be sure that you stand out from the crowd with something different. Head over to Royal Retros today. Use the code REPLAY to get 10% off your order. The link will be provided in the show's description. Hi again, everybody. Glenn Walker from the Replay Sports Channel studios, welcoming you to WFL Inside Access Week 7. Inside Access provides a comprehensive look at the Week 7 slate of the WFL. We'll highlight a pivotal game between undefeated teams in the Western Division and a high-stakes clash for control of the East. WFL Inside Access is your in-depth briefing to help get you ready for Week 7.
Dive. Today we are staring down the barrel of Week 7 in the WFL. And honestly, I've been sitting here with this dossier we've pulled together, this Inside Access report, and it just feels heavy.
It really does. There's a certain weight to this week, you know?
Right. Usually Week 7 is just the middle. You're kind of cruising.
Yeah.
But looking at these betting lines, the player stats, the insider whispers in this source material,
Yeah.
this doesn't feel like another week on the calendar.
No.
This feels like a wall that teams are about to smash right into.
It's the tipping point. That's probably the best way to describe it. You know, usually by Week 7, you have a pretty good idea of the landscape. You know who the powerhouse is. You know who's tanking.
Mm-hmm.
But this specific slate of games, it feels like the moment the league just splits in two.
Exactly. The source material keeps coming back to this phrase, defining moments. It feels like after Sunday night, you're either going to be stamped as a legitimate contender or you're going to be exposed.
A pretender, yeah.
Right.
And there's no middle ground anymore. And that's the narrative that just jumps off the page for me. I mean, we have this preview dossier. It covers everything, the spread, the metrics, injury news. But the mission for us today isn't just to read off a schedule.
Right.
Anyone can do that. We need to decode the narratives hidden in those numbers.
Because the numbers are screaming this week.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, you have these titans, these literal undefeated squads colliding. But on the other hand, you have, well, total desperation.
Complete desperation.
I mean, winless squads, quarterbacks getting benched, legitimate crises happening in major markets.
And for you, the listener, that's where the value is today. We want to use these games to help you understand momentum. How do teams handle the pressure of being perfect? And then, on the flip side, how do they handle the panic of total failure?
And why do certain stats, like red zone efficiency, which I know we're going to get into, why does that matter so much more than, you know, the flashy stuff like total passing yards?
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We have unbeatens, we have winless squads, and we have total chaos. Where do we even start?
Well, what's fascinating here is the contrast in identity. Some teams know exactly who they are, and others are in a complete identity crisis.
Yeah.
So logically, we have to start at the top, the elite tier.
The Clash of Titans. We have two massive divisional battles that are basically going to shape the playoff picture in, October? And the headliner has to be the Western Division.
Oh, yeah.
Las Vegas Outlaws versus the Arizona Rattlers.
5-0 versus 5-0. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
It's incredible. And the stats here are just, they're video game numbers. Let's talk about Las Vegas first.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is he human right now?
He's playing on another level.
I was looking at the breakdown of his last game, and I had to double check. I wasn't reading a typo. You're looking at the passer rating.
Yes. The dossier highlights his rating from last week, 158.3.
Which is? Explain that.
Well, for anyone who doesn't track that metric closely, 158.3 is the mathematical ceiling. You literally cannot get a higher passer rating. It's a perfect game. You can't do better.
That is wild. And it's not just him being efficient. It's the sheer volume of scoring. The source mentions they scored 35 points in the second quarter alone against Los Angeles.
35 points.
That's not a football game. That's an avalanche.
It is explosive. But here's the key context that the raw score doesn't show you. This is what makes the matchup so interesting. Las Vegas thrives on disruption. They aren't just driving the field methodically. They are feeding off turnovers. Against LA, they scored 3 times directly off of turnovers. They don't need to hold the ball for 10 minutes to hurt you. They just need you to blink.
They're like a counterpuncher who knocks you out the second you drop your guard.
Perfect analogy. But then you look at Arizona, they're also 5-0, also an offensive juggernaut, but they do it completely differently.
With Aaron Rodgers?
They have Aaron Rodgers, obviously, who is a master. But the real story here seems to be the ground game with Bijan Robinson. He ran for 202 yards recently.
200 yards.
No. Arizona leads the league in total offense and passing offense. But unlike Vegas, who wants that chaotic, fast-twitch burst? Arizona wants rhythm. They held the ball for 37 minutes in their last game.
37 minutes. That's almost 2/3 of the entire game.
It's a lifetime in football. I mean, think about being on the opposing defense. You are on the field for nearly 40 minutes. You're exhausted. You're demoralized.
Yeah.
Arizona suffocates you by keeping your offense on the bench.
So that's the clash, right? Las Vegas wants a fast-paced street fight, chaos, turnovers. Arizona wants a methodical chess match where they never let you touch the ball.
It's strength against strength.
Yeah.
And the source material points out the crucial matchup. Las Vegas has the #1 run defense in the league. They're a brick wall.
And Arizona has Bijan Robinson coming off a 200-yard game, the battering ram.
So something has to give. Can the league's top run defense stop the hottest running back in the game?
And the betting line is, what, Vegas by just 1 point. Even the odds makers are basically shrugging their shoulders saying, we have no idea.
It's going to come down to who controls the style of the game. If it's fast, loud, and turnover heavy, Vegas wins. If it's slow and deliberate, Rodgers and Arizona probably take it.
Okay, let's pivot to the East, because we have another massive game for first place, but the vibe is totally different. Philadelphia Stars versus the New Jersey Hitmen, both 4-1.
And this one is fascinating because the identities here are even more distinct than in the West.
I love the Philadelphia story because of Drake May. He's turning into this dual threat nightmare. Last week, he had 286 passing yards, which is great on its own.
Yeah.
Solid day.
Yeah, for anyone.
But then he adds 113 rushing yards. That is just terrifying for a defensive coordinator.
It is, because you can't game plan for athleticism like that. You cover the receivers, he runs for 20, you spy him, he throws over your head. But the stat that jumped out at me from the dossier, it wasn't the yardage.
What was it?
It was the efficiency where it counts.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is perfect in the red zone through 5 games.
Wait, let's pause on that. Perfect. As in, literally every single time they get inside the 20-yard line, they score a touchdown.
Every single time. No field goals, no turnovers, nothing. That is just absurd consistency. Usually red zone offense is messy. The field shrinks, windows get tighter.
Right.
But they play this style of controlled chaos. May runs around, extends plays. It looks messy. But when they get close, they execute perfectly.
And then they run into New Jersey, who seem to be the absolute opposite of that. They're like the fun police of the WFL.
That's a great way to put it. Let's call it discipline perfection. They're coming off a bye week, so they're rested, and they just shut out New York 31-0.
And Justin Herbert is playing mistake-free football. The team is only 2 turnovers all season.
2 turnovers in 5 games. It sounds impossible.
Most teams have 2 turnovers and a half.
It's incredibly rare,
Yeah.
and their defense backs it up. They are #1 in total yards allowed. They've only given up 4 passing touchdowns all year.
Less than 1 a game.
So let me get this straight. On one side, you have Philly, who is perfect when they get close to the goal line. On the other, you have New Jersey, who basically doesn't let you get to the goal line in the first place.
Exactly. It's the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. The dossier calls this a referendum on styles. Philly wants to make it messy and athletic with May. New Jersey wants to squeeze the life out of you with defense, ball control, and structure.
It's incredible. You have the Western battle of unbeatens and the Eastern battle for first place. But, and this is where it gets really interesting to me, if you scroll down to the bottom of the standings, the drama is arguably even better.
Oh, absolutely. The pressure at the top is about seeding, prestige. It's about ego. The pressure at the bottom, That's about jobs. It's about survival. It's visceral.
Let's talk about the Desperation Bowl. Pittsburgh Maulers versus Detroit Wheels. Both teams, 0-5.
And yet, the storylines cannot be more confusing.
It's the biggest anomaly in the source material. I looked at this 3 times. Pittsburgh is 0-5, but their quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. How is Patrick Mahomes, arguably the most talented player we've ever seen, sitting at 0-5?
It defies all logic.
It does, until you look at the defensive stats. Last week, Mahomes did his job. He threw 4 touchdowns and ran for another. 5 touchdowns on the board.
Right.
In 99% of football history, if your QB scores 5 times, you win.
And they still lost.
They lost because their defense completely vanished. The source notes they missed 15 tackles. 15. And allowed 531 yards of offense.
Wow.
You cannot win in this league, even with Patrick Mahomes, even if he plays like Superman, if you're giving up 500 yards and missing double-digit tackles.
That is just heartbreaking. You have the best quarterback on the planet playing out of his mind, and the defense is just opening the gates.
It's like buying a Ferrari and putting square wheels on it.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And it highlights a key lesson for the listener. Football's the ultimate complementary game. An elite quarterback can cover up a lot of holes.
Right. A bad O-line, maybe some weak receivers.
But he can't tackle the other team's running back. He can't play linebacker for them.
No.
So Pittsburgh is desperate because their defense is broken. But Detroit seems desperate because they don't know who they are anymore.
Right. They're making a huge change. The dossier confirms head coach Kellen Moore is benching the rookie, Jaden Daniels.
Benching the rookie already. We're only in week 7. I mean, usually you draft a guy, you ride the roller coaster, right? You let him learn.
Usually, yes. But being 0-5 changes the calculus. They're switching to Brock Purdy. And the source says this signals a shift from development to stability.
So they're basically saying, we can't wait for the kid to learn. We need to stop losing right now, or we're all getting fired.
That's exactly what they're saying. And that is a massive amount of pressure on Purdy, isn't it? Hey, welcome to the starting lineup. We are 0-5. The ship is sinking. Please save us.
It is. But think about the psychology here. You have Pittsburgh, who feels like they should be winning because they have Mahomes, so they are frustrated, maybe even angry. And you have Detroit, who is admitting their plan wasn't working, so they are panicked.
It's desperation football at its absolute finest. Both teams actually made moves for defensive depth this week, just to try and survive. It's a game of who blinks first.
Speaking of desperation, we have to talk about Los Angeles. The Wildcats are 0-6. And the word the dossier uses is unraveling.
It's bad. It is full-blown crisis mode in LA.
So the news is Dak Prescott is out with a foot injury. Okay, injuries happen. But the solution, they're bringing in Russell Wilson.
And not just bringing him in, they are parachuting him into a locker room that is described as battered.
And a fan base that literally booed the team off the field last week.
Yeah. Can you imagine walking into that situation? You're the backup plan, the fans hate the team right now, and you're staring at an 0-6 record. Hey, guys, let's have fun.
It's a nightmare scenario. You're walking into a burning building, and to make it worse, they're playing the San Diego Fleet, who are 4-1.
And they play the most frustrating style of football imaginable for a struggling team.
San Diego's a no-drama team, right?
Completely. Josh Allen is playing efficient, calm football. He's not forcing anything.
Yeah.
But their defense is the real story. They had 2 pick-sixes last week. They are scoring touchdowns on defense.
So LA is in total chaos, turning to a new quarterback in a hostile stadium, and San Diego is just sitting back, waiting for mistakes.
The analysis in here calls it damage control versus statement mode. San Diego thrives on short fields and turnovers. Los Angeles has been gifting those all season.
Yeah.
If Russell Wilson isn't perfect immediately, which is hard to do when you just arrived and barely know the playbook, this could get ugly fast.
It really feels like the league is sorting itself out. You
Yeah.
have the elite teams clashing, the desperate teams flailing, but then there's this middle group, the teams that are, trying to figure out their identity.
The identity and momentum tier. This is where you find the trap games.
Mm-hmm.
The games that look easy on paper but are actually terrifying.
Let's look at Chicago versus Cleveland. Chicago is on fire right now.
5-1.
Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield is playing with a chip on his shoulder the size of a boulder.
He has 17 touchdown passes. That's pacing for an incredible season. And the source says they've scored 40-plus points in 2 of the last 3 games.
They aren't just winning, they are breaking teams. The narrative here is that Chicago breaks you late, they just keep scoring. But then you look at Cleveland, they're 1-4.
And the stat that kills them, the one that makes this a mismatch on paper, is the rushing offense. 53.2 yards per game.
That is Nothing. In professional football, you can't win running for 50 yards. That's like 2 good runs for some teams.
So it means they're one-dimensional.
Entirely.
Mhm.
They rely completely on Sam Darnold's arm. And against a team like Chicago that scores 40 points, you need to run the ball to control the clock and keep Baker Mayfield on the sideline.
If you can't run, you give the ball right back to Chicago and they bury you.
So Cleveland is walking into a buzzsaw. Unless they figure out a run game overnight, it feels like a blowout waiting to happen.
But the dossier warns that Cleveland can make things uncomfortable just because Darnold has the arm talent to keep up for a little while.
They can make it a shootout, maybe, but Chicago has momentum. And in Week 7, momentum is everything. When you believe you're going to score 40, you usually do.
Another game that just screams momentum versus volatility is Atlanta against San Antonio.
This is a fun one. The source calls this control versus volatility.
San Antonio is the definition of volatile. Jared Goff threw 3 interceptions last week. 3. And yet, they have massive firepower. Jalen Reagor had 203 receiving yards.
That is the San Antonio experience in a nutshell. High risk, high reward. It's roller coaster football. They can score from anywhere on the field, but they take huge chances. Goff will throw for 400 yards, but he might give you the ball 3 times.
And Atlanta.
Atlanta is the answer to that volatility. They have Joe Burrow, who is cool as ice, very stable, very precise, but their defense is the key here. They force turnovers. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had a pick-6 last week.
So if San Antonio gets sloppy, Atlanta's going to eat them alive.
Precisely. Atlanta is opportunistic. If you make a mistake, they punish you. San Antonio makes mistakes. It's a dangerous matchup for the gunslingers.
We have to wrap the slate with Monday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, Tampa Bay versus Memphis, both 1-4.
This is the survival game, the loser leaves town match.
I looked at the stats here and I actually laughed out loud. Not to be mean, but the contrast is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis had 569 yards of offense last week.
569.
That is a massive day. That's a we-dominated day.
Yeah.
And they lost.
Because of fumbles. They move the ball up and down the field. Lamar Jackson, Josh Jacobs, they are machines. They are gaining yards at will, but they put the ball on the ground.
Right. Yards don't equal points if you drop the ball.
It's tragic. And then Tampa Bay. Poor Joe Flacco. 4 interceptions last week.
Oof.
That is the stat that kills you. You have Memphis losing because of fumbles and Tampa Bay losing because of interceptions.
So Monday night comes down to one thing. Who can actually hold on to the football?
It is a game of discipline. The talent is there on both sides. Lamar Jackson is incredible to watch, but whoever protects the ball wins. It is that simple. If you turn it over 3 times on Monday night, you're going to be 1-5, and your season is effectively on life support.
It's amazing how simple the game can be sometimes. We overcomplicate it with all these schemes and analytics, but sometimes it's just don't drop the ball.
It usually is.
So we've looked at the Titans, the desperate, the chaotic. When you step back and look at this entire Week 7 dossier, what's the big picture? What are we really learning?
The synthesis for me is it's about the collision of identities. Week 7 is forcing teams to look in the mirror. You have high-risk teams like San Antonio facing low-risk teams like Atlanta. You have the offensive firepower of Arizona.
Facing the defensive wall of Las Vegas, it really is a test of philosophy. Is it better to be explosive or is it better to be disciplined?
And that leads to the key takeaway for our listener. We all love the highlights. We love seeing Mahomes throw 5 touchdowns or Bijan run for 200 yards. Those are the plays that make the nightly recaps.
Sure.
But this source material proves that situational football is what decides the standings.
Give me an example.
Look at Philadelphia. They aren't the flashiest, but they are perfect in the red zone. That's why they're 4-1. Look at Memphis. They have all the yards in the world, more than almost anyone, but they fumble. That's why they're 1-4. Talent gets you yards, discipline gets you wins.
That's a great way to frame it. It's not about how many yards you get. It's about what you do when it really matters.
Exactly. It's about efficiency in the critical moments.
Okay, before we sign off, leave us with one thing to chew on, something that isn't explicitly in the text, but is just staring us in the face.
Well, we talk so much about quarterbacks. This is a quarterback-driven league. We obsess over Mahomes, Rodgers, Hurts. But looking at Pittsburgh sitting at 0-5, despite Patrick Mahomes, the consensus best player in the world, throwing 5 touchdowns, it raises a really uncomfortable question.
What's that?
In the WFL, is an elite quarterback actually enough to save a flawed team? We always assume it is. We assume if you have the guy, you win. But Pittsburgh says no. Or is a perfect defense, like the one New Jersey has, the only real safety net? Because right now, the best QB in the world is winless, and a team that refuses to let anyone score is sitting near the top of the league. It just makes you rethink how you build a team.
That is a scary thought for GMs everywhere. You can pay the QB $50 million, give him the keys to the city, but if you can't tackle, you're sitting at home in January watching New Jersey play.
That seems to be the brutal lesson of Week 7.
It's going to be a wild ride. We'll be watching to see which identities crumble and which ones stand tall. Thanks for diving in with us.
Enjoy.
And there you have it. Thanks to the Inside Access crew for their analysis of the upcoming Week 7 matchups. The WFL utilizes real NFL players in the advanced simulation capabilities of DK Sports Action PC Football. WFL strives to create a thrilling, strategic, and statistically rich football environment that balances realism with innovation. Make sure to join us for our next WFL broadcast. Monday Night Football will conclude Week 7 with the aforementioned matchup in the Southern Division between the Tampa Bay Bandits and the Memphis Express. From the Replay Sports Channel studios, Glenn Walker signing off. Have a great one.